Can the coach pull another fast one and win the Preakness with American Promise? Let's stick around and discuss. Hi, everyone. Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets. Here with the Preakness Contender Spotlight video on American Promise, the Dwayne Lukas entry who ran just 2 weeks ago in the Kentucky Derby. Now, before we get to this runner, want to remind you to press that like button and subscribe to NYRA Bets YouTube today. Subscribing is entirely free of cost, just notifies you when new videos drop on the channel, whether those are race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials, and so much more. We have a lot of great content this week. Maggie Wolfendale joins us for Black-Eyed Susan and Preakness preview. We have a full card analysis for Preakness Day at Pimlico as well. All right. Well, listen, let's talk about American Promise, a horse that, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even be here. My colleague Kaylee Shapiro should probably be doing this one. She loves that horse. I do not love that horse. I have the exact opposite feeling about American Promise. But the coach pulled a fast one last year and seized the gray, of course, remember, on a gray day. A gray horse. My mom lectured me for not telling her that Seize the Gray was gray. I thought that was obvious in the name, but shout out to my mom. Love you, Mom. And but Seize the Gray, of course, wins the Preakness last year in gate to wire fashion. Now here comes Lukas with another runner this year in the form of American Promise. Now, can he do it? Now, here's the thing, though. And this is where I would say, before we get into talking about American Promise, this is where I would say the discussion between Just Steel, Seize the Gray, and American Promise needs to happen. So everybody's going to look at Seize the Gray and go, well, Lukas did it last year. He pulled a fast one. You never underestimate the coach. And you don't want to underestimate the coach. He's a living legend. I mean, he's the guy who is, to me, growing up in the 90s, he was the most iconic figure in horse racing. It was Dwayne Lukas in that Stetson cowboy hat and his sunglasses. I mean, nothing was better than that. But remember, Lukas had two horses in that race. One of them was Just Steel, and one of them was Seize the Gray. Seize the Gray came out of the Pate Mile, all right, where he finished second. Just Steel came out of a very disappointing, I believe, 17th place effort in the Kentucky Derby and came on to run fifth in the Preakness. And I believe that was an 8-horse field. And it was, I think, 10 lengths beaten, if I'm not mistaken, 10 and a half maybe. So now everybody's going to look at American Promise and they're going to make the comp to Seize the Gray. I think the comp is Just Steel, in my opinion, of a horse that was completely just defeated. And yes, you can say, well, was he shut off? I thought Nick Juarez made a questionable decision to make a middle move. This is not Oaklawn Park. You don't make middle moves in the Kentucky Derby to get into those spots. Makes a middle move and, just really was nowhere to be found come the finish of the race. Here's the other thing. He was bet like he was a live runner. I mean, I didn't get the betting at all. He was 30-1 morning line. That actually sounded about right to me. The horse was coming out of the Virginia Derby, which was a 1-turn, 9-furlong race where Render Judgment was your second best runner. Stop it. I just didn't see it. And for that horse to get bet down from 30-1 to 12-1 in the Kentucky Derby was just kind of mind-boggling to me. Second only to Luxor Cafe taking as much money as he did. That made no sense at all. I could have told you that horse was going to finish worse than 10th and save you a lot of money and heartache. But nevertheless, when you had American Promise, he's a horse that I understand why people like him. He's a big horse. You see him when he comes off the trailer and you just go, Jesus, that's a good looking horse. I mean, he looks like his dad. He looks like Justify. And he's impressive. He's really, really physically impressive. He is also a big horse. And that can be a detriment because he's not the deftest. He's not the most agile. He's not the quickest necessarily. He's fast. He's not quick. There's a difference. It takes him a second to get up to speed. It takes him a second to get out of the gate. He does get left behind sometimes at the start. And that's part of the reason why Nick, I think, had to make a middle move a little bit because he's not fast enough to get up to the front on his own. He kind of needs to work his way up to top speed, and then you get him up front. But let's dive in and talk a little bit more about him. And like I said, jockey is Nick Juarez, who I think did a great job riding him in the Virginia Derby. I thought the Kentucky Derby ride was maybe a little bit questionable, but something. There's 19 horses in the race. You're just trying to do as best as you can. I get it. So it's one of those things. The pedigree is outstanding. This horse should just want to run 3 miles. Quite frankly, you have Justify up top out of a Tappet mare. Distance should never be an issue for him. He won the Virginia Derby, like I mentioned. Now, this was the first year we've had a Virginia Derby on the dirt as a Kentucky Derby prep race. The Virginia Derby fell at an unusual and falls at an unusual time, mid-March. So it's not quite, it's one of those races where you don't want to run back in the traditional preps for the 100-pointers because it's a little too quick of a turnaround to run in 2 weeks in, some of these preps or 3 weeks. And so the logical choice was to run in the Lexington, but then the Lexington bumps up against the Kentucky Derby. And so Lukas had debated running him in the Lexington and opted not to, which I thought was a little curious because Lukas will typically run his horses as many times as he possibly can, as you will see in a moment. And the fact that he opted not to run him there, I thought was a little bit of a red flag, in my opinion, that the horse maybe took a second to recover from the Virginia Derby, maybe needed a little bit more time in training, maybe wasn't ready for another race. That's, again, reading the tea leaves. We're not sure. But that Virginia Derby, aside from being a one-turn race, I didn't think it was a race from a scheduling standpoint that fell at a good time in the calendar because you're coming with 7 weeks rest now, which might be a little too much. Now, the flip side of that is now he comes back on 2 weeks rest. This could be the best version of American Promise we see. Maybe he was a little rusty in the Kentucky Derby, and now, hey, let's run him back in 2 weeks. It's the old coach move, and now he's going to run a big race. So, there is still that slight hesitation that I have to say, well, maybe he does run a really big race in this one. But you'll see outside of that Virginia Derby, 16th in the Kentucky Derby, 5th in the Risen Star, doesn't really have any other standout efforts outside of breaking his maiden. Now, you will see, as I joked, he races early, he races often. And so this is a horse that has a lot of foundation. This is a horse that has a lot of races, a lot of maiden races. Took him a long time to break his maiden. Now you'll see he broke his maiden in the slop. Okay, going, over a muddy track at Oak Lawn Park, going 2 turns and winning that day easily in gate-to-wire fashion. His other victory in the Virginia Derby was nearly in gate-to-wire fashion. He dueled with Getaway Car early and put that horse away and reminded him that he's probably best sticking to a mile, and then won that race easy over a horse like Render Judgment, who I don't have the highest opinion of in terms of a very nice story, very nice horse, but just in terms of grade 1 Kentucky Derby, just not quite there. And so does that, and then goes and runs, like I said, kind of a rather poor 16th place effort in the Kentucky Derby over a wet track. Now, he shouldn't mind the wet track, and he's going to get it again in all likelihood on Saturday at Pimlico. The question that you have with American Promise, when you look at these running lines, a couple of things stand out. 2, that he's got 2 big numbers. He's got the maiden breaking win where he ran a 95, and he's got the Virginia Derby where he ran a 95. Outside of that, his numbers are nowhere close to being good enough to win this race. And even the 95 is not good enough to win this race. He's going to need to take his personal best and improve it probably at least 5 points, run 100 or something along those lines, maybe a 99, between a 99 and a 102, I would guess, if I had to just kind of assume maybe what the winning buyer is going to be. So he's going to need to step forward from his 2 best efforts. His 2 best efforts were kind of perfect trips in a lot of ways. And I think that's a big question mark, is what sort of trip does American Promise get in this race? That's the big question. For me, I don't think he's fast enough, certainly, to go with Clever Again. Clever Again is going to be able to cross and clear compared to American Promise. The big question is what happens with Goal Oriented. And Goal Oriented being on the inside rail, I think, forces the hand of Flavian Pratt to really send and probably go up with Clever Again. Well, now American Promise is sitting 3rd. I don't know if American Promise likes to sit 3rd, particularly behind the kickback of other horses. And he's going to be a little bit more inside. So he's not going to have the opportunity maybe to get out in the clear because you have horses like River Thames and Gosker who are breaking a little further outside, who like to track the pace. And they're probably going to be content to sit in that second flight and maybe pin American Promise in. Now, on one hand, you could say American Promise maybe ends up with a pocket trip on the inside. which is possible. I just don't know if he likes that trip as a horse. I think he likes to be in the clear. I think he likes to be up front. And when he doesn't have that, I think things tend to go south. So listen, Dwayne Lukas has forgotten more in the time it has taken me to record this video than I will ever know about horse racing in my life. The man's a legend. But, and there's always a but, I think that the Seize the Gray stuff from last year might be a little misleading. And yes, it's funny. He's a similar horse to Seize the Gray in that he likes to be up on the front end. I don't think he's going to be gifted the lead like Seize the Gray was. Remember, Seize the Gray was handed the lead on a silver platter by Frankie Dettori and Imagination and said, here, you take the lead. And then Seize the Gray just loped around the track, which is what he does. Like, I was there when he won the Pennsylvania Derby at Parks later that fall. It was the exact same thing. They just, here you go, take the lead. Okay. And he, if you give Seize the Gray the lead, he'll do that. He's not going to get the lead. Clever Again's not ceding the lead. Goal Oriented is probably not going to cede the lead. And you have two really good riders on both of those horses. And so really good dirt riders. And Frankie's a legend as well. But was still a little, I think, inexperienced with riding in those big dirt Triple Crown races. And that's not going to happen with Flavian. That's not going to happen with Clever Again. So I think you're going to see those horses kind of be pretty aggressively placed. And then suddenly American Promise doesn't get the trip. And I think the closer comp, in my opinion, is Just Steel, who came back on 2 weeks rest and ran fifth and wasn't seen for the better part of the next 10 months. I don't think American Promise is a big strapping horse. I think he's the type of horse that honestly will excel in Wayne's training regimen of running often because he is such a big horse and he does have so much energy and he does have a body that really can take the punishment of running and of kind of running back quickly, and it doesn't bother him. So I think he has a potential to run a really good race. Again, second time out in 7 weeks. So again, that second time back, maybe he needed to knock some rust off. Maybe the conditioning wasn't all the way there. Maybe he wasn't as race ready as he needed to be. Now he's going to be dead fit for the Preakness, and he's going to be potentially ready to roll. He's a big price on the morning line, 12-1. So you're going to get a little bit of a price on him. The question is whether he gets bet again. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to look at because obviously between him, Journalism, and Sandman, those are the three horses running back from the Derby. Those are the three horses that have the most name recognition out of this group. Will name recognition alone, will the fact that the coach won this race last year with Seize the Gray, will it drive his price down again to a level where I'm not comfortable betting him at that price? There's always a price I'm comfortable using. Well, there's usually a price I'm comfortable with which betting a horse. If you promised me 15-1 on American Promise, sure, I'd be interested in that horse at that price. I just don't think you get that price in that horse. I think that horse probably takes more money and ends up in single-digit territory. And if that's the case, I'm not interested. So, listen, he's a good horse. When you see him on the track, you're going to go, wow. Okay, he's a really good-looking horse. He's a hard one to avoid. He sticks out like a shiny penny, but I just don't know if the race sets up for him, and I just don't know if he's quite good enough. He needs to string together good performances, and he's never done that. And so I just think that that's a real problem is it's kind of playing a little bit of a guessing game of when he's going to pop a big race and when he's not. And again, there's a price at which that's going to be acceptable to play. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to stop there for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to press that like button and subscribe to NYRA Bets YouTube today. My name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great, profitable day at the races and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.